live, and it is awesome. I'm so excited to be back, everybody. It's been so long. Welcome to the Sunday Stache. Um, it's been way too long. It has been uh, what, man? Since summer, I believe. It's been summer since I was live and doing anything. So been an eventful little while since since I was last on. So we've gone through halfway of the hockey season. We are now officially today all the way through the regular season of the NFL. The Rays had a glorious rise and meteoric fall to back to the earth, come crashing back down. And yeah, a few other things have gone down. But let's start with where, pretty much anyone wants to really go, it's the Lightning, right? It's the talk of the town right now. Well, actually, no. You know what? I'll tell you what. Let's go here first. Let's go here. Let's go ahead and get the ticker going, and let's go right where we need to go. It's the story of the day right now, and that is the Bucks get the win. They shut out Carolina on the road. They clinched their third straight NFC South division title. It was not the most beautiful game. It wasn't the greatest offensive display from the Bucks, but let's be honest, Baker gutted it out with what is most likely broken ribs, if not fractured ribs, or some type of like separated bruise, like serious upper rib injury. As a quarterback, having that kind of injury, you're very limited what you can do. We saw it multiple times. I think the first thing we saw was that one throw to Mike Evans that was kind of underthrown. And I really think that his ribs had a big deal to do with that. And then there was another play when he was out on a bootleg on the edge and he just completely missed a pass to Rachaad White. And both of those, he's using money on the edge on the rollout, right? So those two plays right there right away were pretty obvious that the injury was going to be affecting him. And the offense, they ran the ball well here and there. I still am not sure what Dave Canales is doing and why he has a trouble finding a true identity with that team, and why he can't be any more consistent than he is in the play calling from week to week. But if he could find a rhythm and really figure out a way to force the ball to some of his playmakers a little bit more, scheme wise, this offense would be a lot better. Be a lot better off. That being said, there was, some self-inflicted wounds there. But they managed the ball. The defense played fantastic today. Obviously, Carolina isn't that great of an offense, but overall, they played really well against that offense. And which leads me to, the other elephant in the room as it comes to the Bucks right now, which is the Pro Bowl snub for Anton Winfield Jr., which is absolutely criminal. If you pay attention at all, the Buda Baker made it and he did not. And I don't even need to bring up the stats. It's criminal. How obvious it is that it's an absolute snub. But I feel like this is something that's been going on with the Bucks ever since the end of the Dungy tree really left the area. They haven't really been getting their flowers on the defensive side of the ball here in Tampa. They really haven't. So it's not that surprising to me that we saw another Pro Bowl snub from that side of the ball, right? That being said, as much as they kind of backed their way into playoffs and basically the ultimate tank division, right? Is it's a little bit concerning, but also they're going to play another team that's backed its way all the way through the second half of the season and completely collapsed coming off of a Super Bowl last year. And that's the Eagles, man. I just don't know where where, from the like parents, but like I don't know where they just completely collapsed. Like you want to talk about a collapse? That team right now, we don't know what kind of Eagles team is going to show up down at Ray J next Sunday. And that's not a confident team. I can tell you I can tell you right now, I don't care what you think of the Bucks coming in to Ray J. You go and lose to the Giants, the last game of the season, you're not a confident team going on the road in the first round of the playoffs. You're simply not. You're not. You're not confident. You're not going to be a confident team. Period. So it really comes down to how healthy can Baker get in the next week, right? Because we saw he also acquired another injury, the tweaked ankle. So another injury for him that he's going to have to battle through this week to see how well he can adjust and see what Canales can do to scheme a little bit around his limitations and also to see, you know, what he's really capable of doing. Right. So that's that. We'll see what happens. We got a week to go. We'll be talking about it next Sunday. Whether the Bucks win or lose that wild card game that they will be hosting at One Buck Place next week. So a lot of people will be down there for that. I know a lot of my people will be. Keep an eye out. I might sneak my way into a playoff game this year. It's been a while, if ever. No, it's been a while. But anyways, so that being said, we'll see how it goes tonight. But I'm trying to give some stuff away tonight. And what I'm trying to give away is something pretty great. What I'm trying to give away is a two-top to the Block Party Live recording January 16th at the Scarcity Tap Room. It is an unannounced surprise guest, as it always is for every single one of these events that they have. This will now be the fourth one. So far, it's been Julian Brisebois. It has been Victor Hedman, when I was lucky enough to attend, and I got the signed Heady Puck. And the most recent one was Nick Paul. I was fortunate enough to be able to grab an extra two-top that I'm able to give away, depending on how many people will get involved. We still have 2 weeks. So if that's what you're here for, stick around. You can comment in the chat, hashtag Block Party Live to enter. But I want at least 10 entries tonight. So hopefully we get there. For my first show, we'll see. It's something that I've been working towards, and I kind of was. It's been a long year, and I was kind of going back and forth. But I told myself, "Boom, let's do it." So there'll be a few things that I add to the show. I've got some guests lined up coming up here later this month, and I've got some other places I'll be featuring. That'll also help add to the content and whatnot. But as it is right now, I think we got a lot to catch up on. Moving right into the Lightning season, the first half of the season has been, well, average, right? I mean, we really want to get into it, and we'll look at the standings. They are, 19, 17, and 5 through 41 games this season. And as they stand right now, they're still 1 point out of the wild card. However, they still have a few games played more than everyone else, right, in their division. Or in the Atlantic, really, overall. So that being said, they're only a couple games behind Toronto, who has been playing very average hockey as well. A lot of the teams in the East, the last couple seasons, the East has pretty much been locked up by now. And yes, maybe, it looks like Boston and Florida and the Rangers are kind of running away with it, but that's it. I think there's still a lot of room in the wild card and that 3 spot for the Atlantic, going back and forth with Toronto, because they haven't shown that they can get their shit together either. Thankfully, we're not the only team in the Atlantic that can't get its shit together. If you look at the spread at home, the Lightning are 11-5-3. It's pretty dominant, really. That's a pretty great home record, especially for a team that is very inconsistent, especially when you go to look at the road when they are 8-12-2. We see that especially coming off this last game or last 3-game skit. And really, if you want to look at it, we saw coming into the new year, we saw on the 30th we played the Rangers and got shellacked, but they are the best team in the East right now, right? That's not that surprising for a struggling wild card team to kind of lose to that team right now, right? Um, and I think a lot of that's depth right now. We have a lot of issues with depth right now, right? And so then you look at the game we played after that on New Year's Eve, the Whistlegate. I was there. It was an amazing time. It was insane. Me and Mrs. Stache got a room. We were gifted tickets to that game from my sister and brother-in-law, which was awesome of them, and we decided to go ahead and make a staycation. We stayed down there because we didn't want to have to, we wanted to actually do something. So we stayed down there and saw fireworks and everything afterwards. But man, that was a game. Let me tell you right now, we got set 3-1, and I was leading the chants. I was loud as only the Stache can be, and man, that glorious echo of booze, the chorus of "Ref, you suck," raining down through Amalie Arena is right up there on the list of greatest moments that I've experienced at Amalie Arena. That includes 3 cup runs. Okay. And I'm not top of this, but it's in that top 5 category. Let's just put it that way. It really is. So then we go on the road again, and it's just up and down. We go play Winnipeg. Guess what? They're the best team in the West. We played well early, but we were down. We played 13-5 in that game. Whoever plays 13-5 like that, you just never practice for that. You never prepare for that. You're never really ready for that. So they hung out well, but I mean, I think they had defenseman with 16 minutes in the first period. You're not going to hang with the best team in the West. Whenever you're already logged at 16 minutes on your blue line in the first period. All right. We saw some positive things though. All right. We really did. We go to Minnesota. We saw the rookies on the blue line, the young blue liners, I will say, are starting to shine. They really are. After all the problems we've had with defense to start the season, inconsistencies, I'm not going to sit here and be that guy that starts piling on Sergey or anything else like that, but he hasn't had the best season. And to be honest, he has not had the best season. And since he went on IR and, Fleury is now injured as well, and we've had to start calling up these young blue liners from Syracuse, we've started to see a little bit of what playing with some heart and some fire and some, devil may care kind of has brought those guys, and they've shined. Carlisle played great in Minnesota. And Lilleberg played fantastic against Boston. That game was a lot better and closer of a game than the third period. The final scoreboard showed. The third period again was crazy, and the referees. It does seem like if you've ever followed us on, We the Thunder, or ever watch anything I do, I try my best to be jovial about it and give the refs their jabs, especially number 4. If you know that, I like to give Wes McCauley a really hard time, but I also try to be fair about it and realize that, I'm a fan and they're not going to call it from a fan's perspective because that's not their job. That being said, some of the refereeing I've seen towards the Lightning this season has just been absolutely atrocious. It's been absolutely atrocious. And there's been nights when they haven't let it get in their head. And luckily that night that they were home, the fans in attendance were able to give it to the refs the way that the players wanted to, so they didn't have to, and they were able to go out there and capitalize on that. But when it's on the road, it's hard, and they let it get in their heads a little bit because they are a 500 team. They're not used to really being here, and it's not necessarily that they're so much worse in the standings or in the points than they have been. They're just a lot more inconsistent. And, let's be honest, they've really been the number 3 team in the Atlantic for the last few seasons because they know that they don't have to win, or it's not all about seeding, it's just about making the playoffs, right? But this is a different feel to this team, right? I know they feel a little bit different. We can talk about contracts of Stamkos. We can talk about, you know, why some guys are getting paid and Killer had to leave. We can talk about, Tanner Jeannot and did JBB pay too much for him? The fact of the matter is that this is one thing. Oh, man, you know what? I hate to do this in the middle because I forgot to pull this up, but it'll be quick because I go there all the time. But I forgot to pull this one thing up. Um, is the roster and what we're looking at as far as who's getting paid what. And if you really look at who's getting paid, we have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. 9 players getting paid less than $1 million on this Tampa Bay Lightning roster right now. And one, two, three, four, five. 5 of them are forwards. Um, it's not that unusual for the, you know, depth defenseman to be right at the $1 million range or so, or just over it, right in there, $1 to $2 million. But you really don't want almost half of your forwards to be making less than $1 million. That's a sign of an issue of depth. And while everyone likes to continue to point fingers at the blue line, it's really the forward depth that I think has really been the impact on this team and why they've been so inconsistent, right? So that being said, it's not all doom and gloom. By far, it's not doom and gloom at all for the Lightning. First and foremost, Nikita freaking Kucherov, right? Come on, let's give it up for Cooch, right? Like this guy is absolutely magic. He's going to the All-Star game again. He's leading the league, obviously, in points. You know, he's he's a shoe-in right now for several awards, really, but mostly the Rocket Richard Trophy, right? But he's also right there in goals as well, and he could be looking at a Lindsay or even maybe a Hart Trophy as well this year. It's really crazy to see how amazing Nikita Kucherov is night in and night out. I've seen some people comment recently that this Lightning team wouldn't even be 500 without Kucherov, and that's absolutely right. I mean, if he isn't the MVP in the NHL right now, I don't know who is, really, because this team wouldn't even be sniffing a playoff spot right now without Nikita Kucherov. That's all there is to it. So, yeah, but he's going to the All-Star game again. He absolutely deserves it, and we'll see how it goes. But as of right now, he's 2 points ahead of McKinnon. Overall for the points, he is 2 back of Matthews in goals. Matthews has 30, he has 28. And in assists, McKinnon is at 43 and Kucherov is 39 with McDavid at 40 at second. So yeah, you're definitely looking at an absolute MVP, Hart Trophy, Lindsay Trophy, multiple trophy type of year for Cooch. But we all know the only thing that really matters to them, to us, to anyone in hockey, really, is the Stanley Cup. And I'm not talking about the damn thermal cup that everyone's losing their mind over. We all know there's only one Stanley Cup that really matters, Lord Stanley's Cup, right? So, that being said, man, we got half the season to go still. I don't think there's any room to panic quite yet. We do have games in hand, so that's the only thing that really worries me is we played a very front-loaded schedule compared to a lot of the other teams that were right there in it as far as the wild card and as far as Toronto goes. But I don't think this team is showing, at least it's treading water and showing signs of improving. There are signs of improvement. There really are. So all it takes is for we've seen Braden Point have a couple goals last night against Boston. Stamkos, if something can happen on that second line, like, right, let's be honest, like we need Coop to find something with that a second line to have some kind of impact offensively. We can't just have that third line out there in the checking line. And, Barre Boulet's been a ghost ever since he got taken off that top line. Evidently, Sorelli is getting paid $6.5 million to pass the puck in the slot and still not be able to finish on breakaways. So there's some offensive issues, way more than defensive issues, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to the Lightning. So, and let's not even talk about Vasi coming off of back surgery and still clearly not being 100% physically or mentally. But you kind of got to let him play through it. As long as physically physically as far as like in shape and 100% in hockey shape and everything else like that, not having played any games or anything like that, not necessarily as far as recovered from the surgery or still having back pain or back issues. I'm not talking about that. If that's an issue, he shouldn't be playing. But as long as that's fine, you got to let him play through it, right? And hey, cheers to Jonas Johansson. He's done a great job backing him up, and I wouldn't be mad if he was the backup next year as well. So to Jonas. All right. Well, that being said, we got a lot of season left to do, a lot to talk about as far as the Lightning goes. Let's catch up a little bit on the Rays. I didn't really get a chance to talk about that at all. So, man, what a crazy, crazy season the Rays had. The media, like, they just shut out of a cannon to start the season. Historical pace, right? We're talking about wins and records and 1800s and just crazy, crazy history, right? We're talking about with the Rays to start the season. Everyone is healthy. Everyone's playing great ball. Everyone, just hitting out of their minds, doing everything they got to do. And then suddenly, Wander Franco gets hit with allegations, gets suspended from the team. A couple of pitchers go down, and the entire team basically goes down in flames. They play very average baseball from the All-Star break on for the most part. Whimper into the playoffs. The very depleted starting rotation. And whimper right out of the playoffs. We still don't really know what's going on with Wander Franco. Still have basically no clue, right? We don't really know where that's going to go. All we know is that he got arrested recently he was summoned to appear and he didn't appear, so then they arrested him. We don't know the context. We don't really know anything that's going on down there. But for the most part, we can just basically all assume that guy is probably played his last game of baseball in major leagues. So if that wasn't enough of kind of a punch in the gut when the Rays finally go all in on somebody, finally spend the money the Rays do on Wander Franco. Now, boom, what a punch in the gut. That guy's probably gone, right? We'll never see him again. Then we get announcements that they finally made an agreement. They finally reached a deal on a stadium. And it's going to be right next to where the Trop is right now. Wow. Talk about anticlimactic, right? We all know that they have zero relationship with St. Pete. Neither of them really want the Rays to be there, but St. Pete doesn't want the Rays to be in Tampa, and the Rays don't want to have to pay for anything. So St. Pete is default, right? And despite all the rumors, clearly MLB wants them in this market, or else they probably would have helped them move instead of staying right next to the Trop in St. Pete. But after that, we find out the whole deal. Oh, this and that. We're going to get this beautiful new location, and it's going to be integrated and with the community and shops and living, and right on vision with the whole revival of St. Pete, which is amazing. I love going down there. Well, certain parts. Certain parts. I love going down there. But then as soon as the season is over and things open up, there goes Glasnow, there goes Margot, and now recently Rayleigh is gone. There's been rumors that Rosarena is even on the chopping block and available to be moved. I don't understand, after all these years, why the Rays don't understand that it's not just about wins. It's not just about banners. It's not just about that. We as fans support the team, and yes, the logo, all those logos, we support those logos, but what keeps us passionate and keeps us connected is the names on the back. And it is the players that we can connect to and we can look to as heroes, regardless of our age, regardless of our gender, our identification, our race, creed, color, religion, no matter what. Something about sports is something that's greater than us. And it's not just about the name on the front. It is sometimes about the name on the back. And the Rays continue to lose sight of that. And instead of being able to spend a little bit of money to keep some of these guys here, or to find a way to build around some names that are some fan favorites, it doesn't matter if they build a new stadium. It doesn't matter what else they do. They are not going to get the attendance that they think that they should have, and that the rest of the league thinks that they should have because of their wins. It's simply not going to happen. If they don't engage the community, it's not about this isn't Field of James, man. Just because you build it doesn't mean they're going to come. We saw it in Miami. We've seen it in other places, not just in the MLB. It's not just about building the stadium. It's not just about wins. It's about creating a bond with your community, creating a bond with your fans, and letting your fans know that you're as invested in the team as they are. It's not just about money and dollars and cents, right? It's got to be about more than that. If you really want to fill a stadium, whether that's the Trop or the new stadium here in a few seasons, it's got to be about more than that. I don't know. Guess we'll see. But it seems to me that it just they keep missing the mark with the local community. Wow. Okay. Well, that being said, we have a few. Well, what? It's January. We have a few weeks now, 6 or 7 weeks. It's not even that. It's not even that long until they start reporting for camp. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the team that they field and how they're able to come in with hopefully some kind of goodwill tour to really start getting the fans on board with this new stadium announcement, right? We got a few weeks until we really get into the, see what they're going to do with that. So far, I think it's going to be the same shit, different season as far as the Rays go, right? Something I'm very excited about. I don't know about the rest of you. I am extremely excited that WWE is coming back to the Tampa area. That's right. January 27th, Amalie Arena. The Royal Rumble is back in town. No longer called pay-per-views. They are now called premium live events. It'll be on Peacock. Myself, Mrs. Stache, and our entourage of, I think, 7 of us are going to be in attendance. It's going to be a great event. The Rock just came back this past week on SmackDown. We're gonna see what happens with him and Roman Reigns in the bloodline. It's kind of a big deal they've been talking about for a while now, about The Rock coming back and giving Roman Reigns kind of a send off of sorts. They're saying maybe he's going to retire, break Hogan's streak of holding the title, and then retire, with The Rock being one of his last matches or whatnot. As of right now, it's going to be a fatal 4-way. Randy Orton just came back. AJ Styles just came back. And the new kid on the block, L.A. Knight. Yeah. Those 4 guys are facing, those 2 guys actually facing off Roman Reigns for the strap. We all know a fatal 4-way, no disqualification. Anything can happen. The bloodline. Obviously, Roman Reigns is going to keep the strap up until WrestleMania. That's going to be the storyline. It's just going to remains to be seen what happens as far as who the contender is going to be and who he is going to face at WrestleMania. My belief personally is that The Rock is going to enter the Rumble and win the Rumble, and that's going to set up Roman Reigns v. The Rock at WrestleMania. And then The Rock will kind of, lose, get Roman over, acknowledge him as the head of the table for the bloodline, and then he'll figure out which one of the 3 guys that he wrestled in the fatal 4-way he'll end up dropping the title to eventually here. I think I forgot again to look at that, but I think he's only a few months away from that Hogan streak. So, we'll see. It's going to be exciting though, because Royal Rumble's pretty much my favorite premium live event. Always has been since I was a wee little kid in the late 80s, early 90s, coming up watching the pay-per-views with all the Navy brats and stuff on the Navy base when my dad was in the Navy. So the first premium live event I went to was Royal Rumble, Amway in Orlando a few years back when AJ Styles actually debuted with WWE. That was a pretty awesome moment. I think Roman Reigns actually won a title there too. It's been so long. But yeah, so excited for that. Excited to see what happens on the road to WrestleMania. Also some good stuff over on Raw. CM Punk is back. If you care. I don't know. I don't know if I care or not, to be honest with you. I don't really know if I care or not. Cody Rhodes is holding it down over there, having a great feud. Some guys over there, and Seth Rollins, perhaps maybe Drew McIntyre. We haven't really seen yet. We still have another 2 episodes of Raw leading up, so it could easily be a Seth Rollins and a Drew McIntyre belt or matchup for the WWE title. So it'll be interesting to see. We got 2 more weeks leading up to the Rumble, which is hey, WrestleMania season. It's the best time of year if you're a wrestling fan, at least WWE fan. Can't speak too much for that other promotion that just every time I try to tune in, it just, I don't know. It just seems all so hokey to me. And I know it's saying a lot because we're talking about professional wrestling, right? Sports entertainment, but it just all seems so be real. This is a B product versus an A product. It still seems that way to me. And who knows what's gonna happen with Jericho? It's kind of cool to see Edge and Christian have their thing again. Adam Cole's the devil, and I've seen that gimmick so many times, right? So there's WWE talk. It's relevant because it's coming to town. Won't always be talking WWE, but we got a couple weeks leading up to it, so why not, right? This is basically the birthplace of some of the most iconic wrestlers in the history of wrestling, and not just physically where they were born, but their careers were born here too, locally. So it's going to be a good couple weeks leading up to the Royal Rumble. I'm really excited about that. A couple of housekeeping notes. We do have a Sticks of Fire tailgate before the Lightning game on the 13th. It's not a fully official tailgate, but it's been too long. We couldn't hold out. I will be dropping down some barbecue for that. Yes, the place where we always tailgate over there under the overpass on Whiting. Probably doing some pork butt and some chicken and maybe like a tri-tip or something like that. You know, just some classic American barbecue fare. And yeah, it'll be a good time. That'll be the Anaheim game. That'll be Killer's come welcome back game. First time he's back this season with the Ducks. So it'll be cool to see the tribute to him. Um, and then we have some watch parties coming up in February, but I'll keep you guys posted on that as they get a little bit closer. And yeah, and then also, January 16th is the next block party live. I guess I'll hold on one more week. I'll promote it a little bit more. If you guys are here this week, make sure you tune in next week, 9 o'clock. I will definitely be giving away that two top because it will be the following Tuesday. So, yes, Wednesday, the following Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. So, a few things to talk about around the Bay Area. It is coming up on the start of theater season, which is, something I'm really excited about myself. My young nephew has started playing in his middle school orchestra. And so I promised him for his birthday, well, not yet, but for his birthday, we'll be getting him tickets to probably Les Mis, which is coming in May. So we've got a bunch of stuff going on starting this month, really kicking off at the Straz. Some really good stuff there. Some good concerts at the Capitol Theater. And I would also encourage you guys, if you haven't been down to Coachman Park since they've redone it and they've built the sound, the new music venue there. If you haven't been down there yet, definitely go check it out. It's an amazing place. They did it really well. It's got kind of like almost a modern Egyptian feel to it with the way that the fountains work, and it's very stepped. There's a lot of levels to it, and then a great park right along the water. If you've got young ones, there's a water park, there's a playground or a splash pad, not a water park, but a really cool splash pad, a really cool playground, and then they put kind of like not like a river walk, it's on the intercoastal, but that's a really nice path that goes from the bridge basically all the way back along the other side of the park there at Coachman on the Sound. So just a really cool and great new spot down there. They're really working hard to kind of take that area back, if you know what I'm talking about, and they're doing a good job. So make sure you check that out. Coachman Park area, the Sound, Capitol Theater. It's all down there, a couple blocks away from each other. It's a really great place to go spend an evening or an afternoon with the family or bringing people from out of town. Also, something I'm really looking forward to that I am taking my nephew to on January 20th, Batman with an orchestra, live orchestra, the original 1989 Tim Burton's Batman, Michael Keaton, the OG, the best, right? With a live orchestra. So that's at one of the theaters at the Straz as well. So check that out. That's going to be something pretty cool. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock at the Straz. I'm excited for that one. So if you're into live music, let's not forget that one of the best places locally to go down and catch music any given night is Dunedin, specifically Dunedin Brewery. It's a great place to go down and check out some live music, get some good food, some good beers, and then also the parking is very close. And from there, there's some free shuttles that'll drive you around Dunedin now, and it's a good little place to go catch some live music and great food, good entertainment down there too. So let's, as we go forward, I'll be checking with my buddy Joe that works down there, bringing him on. He'll be talking about some live events, bringing up to date on the calendar, things like that, happenings that are down there. We have some events also, like I said, coming up with Sticks of Fire the season here in the next few weeks. Again, I will be uh at the tailgate on the sorry, I mean at the tailgate on the 13th, and then the next tailgate will be in February. I'll keep up to date on that. Um, so just real quick, come back and go through some comments here. I let's see. Todd Stat, appreciate you checking in, man. Asking me, saying they need to make some major changes. Philly's not doing much. Can't see us paying Stamkos a lot of holes. Yeah, I mean that's what I was talking about. We've got 9 players making less than $1 million, and 5 of them are forwards. And then we have Sorelli making $6.5 million this year. His pay increase just went into effect this season, and it's not paying off as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you can look up the roster just one line to what Brandon Hagel is doing and what he's bringing to this team. And I'm sorry, he'll be making $6.5 million next year. And to me, that's what $6.5 million should get you in the NHL right now. And everyone's been talking about Sorelli has potential, Sorelli this, Sorelli that. He's going to be this, he's going to be that. Well, Bergeron's gone, man. Bergeron's gone. Mr. Selke ain't here no more. And we're not hearing or seeing Mr. Sorelli's name sliding right into that spot like people have been talking about for the last few years, right? And as far as I can see, Brandon Hagel is our candidate for that Selke trophy right now, by far. Like, that guy plays with the motor. That guy is consistently responsible for good things happening on the ice, no matter what line he's playing on. So, meanwhile, guy over my left shoulder here is out there in Anaheim getting paid $6.5 million when he could have probably stayed here for $4.5 million. Again, right? Maybe you don't pay Sorelli so much money. Maybe you don't pay Sergachev so much money before they 100% prove what you're paying them for, right? So, and like I said, Vasi is still not feeling great. I think mentally and physically not fully in shape for, what he expects himself to be. And so he gets a little hard on himself. But this is a 500 team. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at a 500 team, and that's what we're seeing. And a lot of that is because they can't figure their shit out on the road. And that's not necessarily anything new. This has been a home team, especially in the regular season for the last 3 or 4 seasons. If you really look at it, they've feasted at home and been average on the road. And this year they're less than average on the road. And that's really the difference right now when you sit there and look at their record. It's that they are definitely below 500 on the road. And in the past, they've been about 500 on the road and above 500 at home. And that's what's kept them in the playoffs. So if you really want to think about it, you really want to talk about it, to me, that's what it comes down to is if they can figure it out and get on the road. And yeah, and Jesse is sitting here saying, we literally have a new team, 6 players from our 21 Stanley Cup team. Absolutely. If you look at our bottom 6 is entirely brand new in the last 2 seasons, right? So, and we've got the elephant in the room, Stamkos' contract. What's going to happen? I mean, it's great to know that we get probably $5 million in salary cap next year. That's great. But guess what? Brandon Hagel goes up considerably to $6.5 million next year. That's pretty much the entire cap increase is going to pay Brandon Hagel next year. Rightfully so. So, right. So it's really going to come down to the negotiations of Stamkos' contract as to what they can do with everybody else's contract, right? Because You still have Mott, Watson, and Barre Boulet, who are UFAs next year. Barre Boulet, I mean, he started out the season hot, looking like he might be looking at a increase. Maybe not so much now. Watson and Mott, you might be able to convince them to come back on similar deals. They're both again making less than $1 million, but again, there goes our problem. We have so many guys making less than $1 million. We have 5 guys on the forward making less than $1 million. And then Brandon Hagel is making $1.5 million right now. That's crazy, right? But yeah, so it goes up to 6.5 next year. And everyone else stays the same, except Stamkos needs a new contract. So, we look at people want to keep talking things about Victor Hedman. He's third in defenseman in points this year, right? He's over 30 assists. Like he's still doing the Victor Hedman things. He's just alone right now. He's alone. Who else does he have on that blue line with him right now? Calvin DeHaan. I mean, look, the guy started out bad. He's come on. And listen, I'll tell you right now, he's come on. Last few games, we've seen a lot from him, and I like it. I like it a lot, especially since Sergei has gone down. Some guys have stepped up. That blue line has stepped up since Sergei's gone down. We've seen it. But at the same time, that forward depth is an issue. And you are still asking a lot of guys coming up and playing their first games in their NHL career against a team like Boston. Right? We can only hope for so much in those situations. We got to be somewhat realistic. The sky isn't falling. And I'll tell you right now, I'll sit right here and I'll tell you, I'm that guy that I would much rather have a mediocre team that you're trying to actively rebuild on the fly around the best player on the planet. And I'll say it and I'll say it again and again and again. Kucherov is the best hockey player on the planet. 300 points a top 10 hockey player on the planet. All right. Brandon Hagel is starting to put himself up there in the top 25 conversation very easily. Vasi is still in his prime. It's just a matter of can he get through this season and get enough time to rest up and be himself after this season, right? Because it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it on the fly the way he normally does, right? But he can get good enough and get him in the playoffs. We all know that, right? We all know get him in the playoffs. He's a different animal. So, but I would much rather be that 500 team that's rebuilding on the fly around some very, very good core pieces and still being a 500 team and trying to at least get a shot to get in the playoffs than burn it down and be a dumpster fire like Chicago or Chicago, like so many other teams. Okay. And we look at Detroit. Detroit still can't figure their shit out. They're still a bubble team. Right. I'm not trying to sit there and like, and not then they're like a scratching by bubble team. Okay. We're a bubble team that's like, we're not dead yet, but we still got to figure some shit out. And we got, a couple of guys who we basically just had to pull up out of nowhere. Okay. But look, that I would much rather be this team than be that team that just burns it all to the ground. And we waste 2 or 3 seasons of Cooch and Point in their prime. I'm never going to support that. I can't get behind that. So there you go. Well, guys, I really appreciate everyone who showed up tonight. Appreciate everybody's support. Like I said, it's been super busy the last couple weeks. I've had some crazy stuff go on. With the kid in and out of the emergency room. If you know me personally, follow me, kind of stuff that's been going on. I'll probably get into that. But my son broke his collarbone 3 days before Christmas break, and then had some other issues to put him in he went to emergency room for, and then he swallowed a magnet a couple of days ago. Had to go to the emergency room because he swallowed a magnet. So I didn't quite have all the time I was expecting to 100% prepare as far as production wise and everything else. But I'm not going anywhere. I don't care if it's just me and Jesse for the rest of the year, but I'll be here every Sunday, 9 o'clock, and we got plenty to talk about, and I'll always be running it down for you. So I'll have an outro video for everybody else or for you next week, but this week's going to be a little bit of a how you doing? Thanks for coming. See you next time. This is the Sunday Stache. Thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you next week.